Hello, my dear, and welcome to our 5 minutes with Ekaterina vlog about Dnipro, the central Ukraine. And I haven't done any videos for a while. It was connected to my personal situation, and hopefully now the videos will be more regular. Maybe they won't be focused that much on the situation in Dnipro itself because it's slowly changing or not changing at all. But I decided to finally record this video, and one of the triggers was a message from a stranger who said, my wife thinks that it is not safe to go for vacations in Odessa, and can you tell something that will persuade her that it is totally safe to have some rest in Odessa? And I would like to tell you that there is no such a safe place in Ukraine, especially Odessa. It is bombed constantly, and Dnipro itself is constantly bombed. The situation, the problem here now is that in the foreign press, people started to have less information about Ukraine, especially after the tragic events in Israel and Palestine, and this huge amount of civilian victims there. I'm so sorry for all these casualties. And that's of course something that we need to talk about. Any kind of armed conflict on Earth is a great tragedy to everybody. But this means that we pay less attention to Ukraine, and some people just assume that nothing is happening at our war, which is so much not true. For example, one of the bombings that were targeting civilians only was in the small village called Groza in Kharkiv region, where Russian rocket killed 59 people. Firstly, they said that it's 51, but then people got missing, and one woman regretfully died in a hospital. And this was a precise rocket, so they did know what they are targeting, and they did target a cafe where the funeral ceremony took place. It was more like a commemoration ceremony because the person died last year, and they just wanted to have this ceremony for people who knew this man in this village. And in this village and in neighboring village, people who knew a person, they went together in this place, and they were this unbelievable. But there were two traitors, the ex-residents of the same village, who asked their friends when the ceremony will happen, and they gave this information to the Russian military. And the Russian military, by the time that they were firing, that they were given the command to fire, they knew that there are no soldiers in there, because the first idea was that because this man was a soldier, so there will be other soldiers in the cafe. But they were very well informed that there were only civilians there by the moment when they fired this rocket. And that's an example of just killing civilian people just because they can. Also, they hit another funeral procession in Rivne region, and that's basically again targeting only civilians, just terrorizing people. That means that any time, at any place, there might be such an act of terror, just targeting civilian population. And the only idea of it is to make everybody scared. Actually, I was frustrated. I was very shocked and upset when I heard about this news, and I was not scared. I was angry, and if you gave me like anything, a stick, I would probably beat on any of the commanders given these orders to kill civilians. It's a terrible event. So that's what's happening in Ukraine now. Also, another thing that is happening is the storm of Russians storming Avdiivka. It's a small city near Donetsk, which is on Ukrainian side of the front line. And they put a lot of resources. They put artillery, they put tanks, they put armed vehicles, they put a lot of power, like human force there, and they try to advance at least on this part of the front line. And the situation is very dangerous and very upsetting because Avdiivka is not evacuated, and civilian people are living in the city still, and Russians just kill as many civilians as they can again one more time. So constant shellings, constant shootings, the attempts to advance at the certain frontline levels the war is still at the same point when it was when you heard this, or when you were able to read it from newspapers. The only difference now is that it's not on newspapers, it's not on TV anymore, but it doesn't mean that Ukraine is getting safer or better place to travel. And as for Dnipro itself, we didn't have a lot of bombings of the city itself, but near the city, I have friends living near the city or having dachas near the city. They hear the rockets flying, and that means that the rockets fly just overhead to a neighboring city. Rockets can change the trajectory now. And today also in the suburbs of Dnipro, it's a neighboring city, but it's almost a suburb of Dnipro, people heard the explosion, which we didn't read about on the news. So even for our news, we don't always have the information about what's happening if something is happening. That means that the support of Ukraine shouldn't be stopped, and you should still talk to your friends about it. Again, in democracy societies, people tell the government what to do, and it's very upsetting that in many countries people just giving up on Ukraine and saying, no, we don't need to help Ukrainians. That's not true. That's a terrible war. I was yesterday literally thinking that it's almost has been 2 years, and I can't believe that it's almost 2 years now. It's something like a nightmare, and we need to stop this nightmare. We need to stop Russia. We need to kick them off from Ukraine. Thank you very much for watching. That's my message for today, and I hope to see you very soon under much better circumstances. Goodbye for now.